Welcome once again to the fantastic Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival podcast. As always, I'm your host, Adam Simon from Crowdcast, and you are on the only podcast that dives deep into the voices, the stories, the amazing people we meet behind the music when we head down to Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival this coming weekend. And literally straight off the bat, my guest tonight has won the best backdrop, the best outfit, and so on. And I was watching some footage today. I think probably the most amazing smile in the whole of Australian blues and soul music. We're talking about the high priestess of blues and soul music in Australia, Miss Sally King. Sally, welcome to the podcast. Overdue guest. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is so my pleasure, and that is an awesome introduction. Thank you so much for that. And
you're welcome. It's easy when we've got great subjects to talk about.
Lovely.
We started doing this years ago, and we read off questions, and I thought, you know what? I've known these people for years. They've been part of our fabric, of our music family and so on. So let's just talk naturally, and that's what the best part about it. So
absolutely, yeah.
Let's
do it.
Have this voice. You've carved this path. You're somewhere between, let's say, the high priestess and royalty in our soul and blues scene here. What does it mean when you hear things like that, those words associated with you? Because your voice, your presence, it's like a fine wine. It's getting better and better. What does it mean for you to hear these accolades?
Well, I think artists and performers, musicians, creative people are always ready to hear validation from others. I mean, we can sit in our rooms and play our guitars or whatever, but the thing about getting up on a stage and performing for people, entertaining people, for me, it's about sharing the love in the room. If I can make people feel happy with what I do, then that is a great reward. But to get that validation from others, your peer group, I think you'd be lying to say that that's not important to you. I don't know. It is important to me. And it's also acknowledgement of the effort you've put in, the work you've put in, the years of dedication to the genre of music, all those countless hours, because there are countless hours. Damn, if I stop to think about that and think about the hours that I put into learning the songs, to doing my vocal practice, to remembering arrangements. I mean, we all do it. This is what we do, right? We're working at our craft.
It's a craft, but it's a business. And as I say to a lot of musicians, in some cases, it's 2 or 3 businesses there, because you've got to write, record, rehearse, book gigs, and then you've got social media and the algorithm and all this other stuff to keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a phenomenal thing. I'm always inspired by musicians who, despite all these challenges, will play a gig and it's like Wembley. And there might be 100 people there, but they play it like it's Wembley. And I've seen that with yourself in your band before. You get there, I think we saw you at the Bolo there, Shane's gig last year, Shane's benefit. And you're there, and it's an amazing feeling, and you're smiling. And I remember I got a chance to talk to Renee Gayer many years ago, the late, great Renee Gayer. And she said, every gig's like going to a new family reunion. You meet people you haven't met before or you haven't seen for 25 years. And they're going to embrace you and give you a warm hug and sit down and want to hear what you've got to sing or what to share. And I thought that was a great analogy, especially in the soul and jazz and blues community in Australia here. It's full of that love, but also that respect, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is. I'm really enjoying coming back to that family, because for a while there, from the mid-90s or so, I went back to teaching, and I had to pay a mortgage, so I had to earn a living that was regular. And as a musician, you don't earn regular income, and so the banks didn't want to come near us. So I went back to teaching, and then when I retired from teaching, I went straight back to music. And just to be embraced by the warmth of the Sydney Blues Society and the music community online. I mean, my Facebook people are beautiful people. There's so much love there. It's with all that madness going on in the world, all the crazy people doing acts of destruction and hatred, then you can close the door on all that for a small amount of time even, and go to a gig, and whether it's up on the stage or just being in the audience, I go to watch bands and you're part of it, and that's a beautiful thing, if you can find that love. I mean, your own family, obviously, but to feel like you can be part of a music community, and people, you recognize people, you see them again, you form friendships, you see them at festivals. It's pretty beautiful, and I'm very feel blessed to be part of it.
I'm going to thank whichever bank's got your mortgage to come back and retire from teaching. But before I go on, I want to ask, I just mentioned the beautiful Renee Gayer, and I think we can both look back and say we're blessed to live in a time where we got to share audiences, stages with Renee Gayer, and I was friends with her for a long time. And are we ever going to see another Renee, you think, Sally, in our lifetime? Because she just made such, and I don't quite think the Australian music industry as a whole has really acknowledged what contribution she made, not only in her own work, but with Vanetta Fields and Cold Chisel and so on. I mean, a beautiful soul, a beautiful singer, and went through a whole roller coaster of a life, but never gave up that driving desire to entertain her fans and keep her own self stimulated. It's a great loss. But have you ever got a chance to work with Renee?
No, I didn't. However, here's a story for you. When I was 17, I mean, I was a big fan already. Renee was 1 year and 4 days older than me. Take note.
Yes.
And I dug her so much. I always, from the moment I heard Renee sing, I was like, wow. Yeah. What a voice, what a singer, what expression, what lines, a real singer, no doubt. Anyway, I was 17 years old, and she left her band. I think it was it Sun or Mother Earth? I'm sorry, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
But I got a phone call one day, and I picked up the phone, those old phones, picked up the phone, and there's this voice on the end saying, oh, look, Renee's left the band. Do you think you can, we're about to go on tour. Can you do it? Can you step in? And I was like, oh my God, this is like a dream come true. And so I go, Mom, who was standing close by, Mom, hey, these people want me to join the band and replace Renee Gayer and go out on tour. And she went, Sally, you're doing your high school certificate. No, that would be a no.
That's not good. You could have been the Ringo to Pete West. The Beatles, goodness. But look, all these things happen for a reason, I think. It's what do they call that butterfly effect almost. Things happen for a reason, and we're very lucky and very grateful that you've done this stint in teaching and you've shared your skills and your passion there. But now you've come back to this stage and audiences have embraced you more than ever.
Well, thank you.
Your interpretation, you understand the song to the point where you understand how to interpret it yourself, but I also think you understand how to interpret it so the audience feels it. That's something which you've learned and a craft which you've had to develop throughout your career?
Yes. I think as a younger performer, if I look back now, if I could hear myself, when I first started out, even probably the first 10, 15 years, I guess, I didn't realize that you really have to be in the moment and every word has to mean something to you to sing that song well. And if you're going through the motions, people are going to feel that. What are you giving? So, it's something that I have worked on. It's something I've developed. And I just learned with the encouragement of my wonderful husband, David Green, who's a bass player, and my husband, and my musical partner in crime, has encouraged me.
And he works for cheap too. He's your husband. He must be on mates' rates for sure.
He is. He's worth every moment, every penny.
He's not just sitting to the side of you there, is he, Sally? Or?
No, he's not just good looking, he's got plenty of skills. But, he's encouraged me over the years to really be authentic. Everyone talks about being authentic now, but just I've learned I really want to reach people. I really want to tell the story. And so, I try to put what I can of myself into it, and with the hope that I'm telling the story and that I'm reaching people, because I want to reach people.
I was about to say the word reach was literally the next word out of my mouth. You reach people. It's because, and I've seen you, and the one thing that you do, and it's the simplest thing, but you do it, and I love when you smile when you're performing.
Oh.
And I come from a country music background, so there's not much smiling going on there because people have got others in jail and trucks that are broken down. But, but you smile, and that tells the audience that you're feeling it just as much as they are. And I actually think in recent years, despite the fact we have all this technology, Spotify and everything like that, I think audiences want to be reached and want to be touched and want to feel what the artist is feeling more now, because the live experience is, I love gigs where I don't see anyone on their phone, you know? And I think that means you've got the stage, you've got the audience, and they're part of the thing. So I think that's one thing you bring to the stage as well, and that smile and that joy that you get from it,
Oh, thank you.
it reaches right out and it reaches the audience, and that's so important. I've been to many gigs where, saw one very famous gig a few years ago, and thank you, good night was it, the end. No, fantastic to be here. Here's my band. Thank you, good
No.
night. Straight off stage. A very big international artist. And you're like, that's a really interesting thing. And I was talking to someone backstage. I said, "Was everything okay?" They said, "Yeah, no. His contract said 10:30, and it was 10:29." I went, "But not to introduce your colleagues, your peers in the band. Like seriously, there's no. His tune was 10:30." And I was like, God, it's not Elvis. It's someone playing at the State Theatre, but still, it's a phenomenal thing. Can you see the changes, not just in blues and jazz and soul, but in the music industry in the last, say, 20 years? And do you think there are some good ones as much as there are some negative ones? Because we always hear about the bad ones. So there are some positive changes, especially in Australia, that you've.
Oh, that's a tricky question. I think it's become very much a do-it-yourself industry. It's become a do-it-yourself world, to be honest. And so suddenly for the musician or the artist to have to create everything from scratch and to provide funds for your recording so that you can do an album, so you've got product, so you can get a gig, so you can do the festival because you've got product, and to produce visual stuff as well, like your posters and all that. I mean, that has become quite time consuming. And, there's frustration for me when I'm wanting to be getting on to practice my songs and run through my list, and I'm having to do a lot of self-promotion. I find that very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, and my part in music is pretty basic. I mean, I just want to go and do gigs. I just want to get up on the stage and entertain people. So I can't give you a really good answer to that because I've just got my own experience, which is, as I've mentioned, having to, the do-it-yourself thing.
I think there's a certain relief from my perception. I've been doing this for a long time, that we don't have record companies controlling everything. It's very much in the artist's hand. Yes, that makes it even harder sometimes. But we don't have the record companies taking a 10-year contract and the artist struggling to get it out and so on. And yes, it'd be fantastic if that money was still there. But I think that independence and that spirit of independence and that soul that people can bring. I mean, I was very fortunate enough last year to interview Jeff and Ron King of the 4-Day Riders, 58 years together in the one band. They still rehearse every Wednesday night in the garage. I said to them, "Can we do the interview Wednesday night?" "Well, no, that's rehearsal night." And it's like, you think they'd know the songs by now. It was just their dedication to their craft.
Yeah.
And they also brought new musicians through, and then like Ray Beatles started with them and so on. So I think there's one thing where there's less pressure from the record company side of things, but it is very much, as you say, it's up to the artist. And most people we know have a job, to fund all this. And I do see a lot of artists, although there are still a lot of predators, and that's where I think getting that chance to collaborate and talk to each other about experiences, I think, is one great thing where the internet has brought us all together. I do certainly see, both from a retail and a recording point of view, there are challenges. But I do like you understand that spirit of independence, and I think that's certainly something.
That is good. I'm glad you mentioned that because, yes, I think of the tussles and the conflict that must have gone on between great artists who've got producers who are telling them, "No, we don't want you to add that we don't want you to play too funky. We want your audience to be more general than that. You need to do this and that." Wow.
Yeah.
No, that would be so hard. I would find that very hard.
But even like how technology, like I was talking to a musician the other day, and he said, I did 3 songs, and the musicians were all in Nashville. 4-piece band in Nashville, fiddle player from Nashville, drummer, bass, guitarist, all in Nashville, 4 songs. It cost me $250.
Oh, wow.
That's fantastic. He said, then 2 of the musicians went and played the Grand Ole Opry that night. That's phenomenal. Like, you can connect like online like that, and it opens up a world to a whole raft of different people. But I do think it does require a bit more work, but I also think that's where the spirit of collaboration
Mm,
as an industry comes together as well.
mm.
So and hopefully we're
Yeah,
getting there. And
yeah, yeah.
things like the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Fest, where we come together to celebrate, as I call her, this mistress called music, give us a great
Mm.
chance to do that. So you're going to be down here now. You've got a few little sneaky gigs down in Cronulla this weekend.
I
You've got the
do.
double bill. So let me talk about the
I
first one.
do.
Sally King and the Repeat Offenders, Dunningham
Yes.
Park, 11 a.m.
Yes. Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
Who makes up the Repeat Offenders? Which ragged crew have you pulled together for this incarnation at Cronulla?
Well, it's two members from the old Cyril B. Bunter band. Yeah. Drummer legend Roscoe Clark
Yeah.
on the drums. I mean, he plays with so many local and international artists, and everybody loves him. He's the bomb and the go-to guy. So I'm very chuffed that I have got Roscoe on deck. And from Cyril B, they're incredible and very talented and kind of super shy gentlemen. Jack, guitarist Gary Lothian, who is a ripper of a guitarist.
Yeah.
And he's so damn good. And then my husband David Green on the bass and me out front. So it's like a three-piece, backing me and me on vocals. But the beautiful thing is that we all bring something really solid, so much experience, so much groove to the band.
Yeah.
That it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't sound. It's a good big sound.
I think we're going to see a few people having the coffee about 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. By the end of it, there's going to be the fireball tipped into the coffee or coffee joke. That's the space. Hopefully, it's a sunny day and we can hear your voice. I can't wait to see your voice in that park and hear it in the open space because I think it'll soar. And I think real estate's going to go up in all those apartments around the park because they're going to go, is this every Sunday? We'll say, yeah, it is. Come back next week.
Wouldn't that be nice? I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then
I've got the outfit sorted already.
Perfect. See, you've taken my outfit. Jeez, so it's terrible. I'm going to have to wear black now. Okay, and then we're Cronulla RSL, 6 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
With this, we're talking about a ragtag bunch of musos. This group is, I don't like to use the word super group too often, but tell us who are in the Moonlighters because this is a stellar lineup. This is Sally King and her mates.
Yes,
who's in the Moonlighters?
Alrighty, so let's start with Dave Brewer.
What a great place, what a great man and a great place. Another great icon of Australian blues to start with.
Absolutely. And, Dave and I go back to 1983. We were in a band together called The Champions, 83, 84, and got to be some of the happiest times of my musical life. Working with Dave, who's just a delightful human being. He's just such a beautiful person. And on top of that, the way he plays guitar, the way I describe the way Dave plays guitar is liquid drops of sunshine. Because he plays that, the way he plays, just these beautiful sounds come out. So, Dave Brewer, love him.
The way he plays, I interviewed Dave last year and I said, when you play and you're fully in the pocket, I can't tell where the fingers stop and the guitar ends. Because
so beautiful.
You become one and it's so effortless.
Yeah.
It's like when you sing. I'd love to know how you do those soaring notes because it looks so effortless. And the same goes for Dave when he plays. It's like, how does he do that? Like I stress typing on a computer. I use a computer every day. So how he does this with this beautiful instrument and his interpretation.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. So Dave Brewer, number one. Okay, who's number two?
All right, Robert Zeus, Continental Roberts.
Please let me pick up these names you're dropping everywhere, Sally. My God, Continental Robert Zeus.
And once again, going back to the 80s, because the Champions and the Dynamic Hypnotics were like, brothers, peer group bands. We did a lot of gigs together. We're on stage, in the same bill and combined forces, the Graphic Arts Club, Trade Unions Club, New York Tavern. It was a beautiful time for music. Lots of live music, lots of live blues, a bridge hotel. Sir William Wallace, lots of pubs in Balmain. It was really happening. So
these were days when you'd sometimes do 2 gigs in a day, wouldn't you? Or you'd do 3 or 4 gigs a week, like a Wednesday night.
I worked. Phenomenal. There was one stage where I was working 4 nights a week in my first band, Mona and the Whale, just in Balmain. 4 nights in Balmain. Up on stage, up on the bar, dancing.
Yeah. I remember it used to start at Birkenhead. We used to have the Birkenhead Tavern.
Yes.
Which was packed.
Yes.
And then you'd make you sort of this fully intending, say, to end up in the city or the Cross, like to the Texas Tavern or somewhere. you'd never make it past Balmain
No,
because you could go to Balmain and stay at Balmain and see bands till 2 or 3 o'clock. And listeners, if you know what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about like on a Saturday night. I'm talking like on a Wednesday or a Thursday night. You could see several of these bands up and down Darling Street. And it's funny because Darling Street now is a bit of a ghost town. Council's ripped it off with all the parking fees, but
that's what happens.
It's still great to go and see live music there. And I was saying something that I'd love to see. I live in Gladesville, near the old Bayview Tavern here, and I said, let's do it back to the Bayview days where it's like Kevin Borich and Mal Eastick and and obviously the Divinals played there. And I was talking to Andrew Ferris, and he said, "Oh, I'd love to come play there because that's where INXS played, you know."
Yeah, right.
And we just lost something. The old Three Weeds and the Cat and Fiddle, and this one strip of real estate in Sydney. If you don't know, listeners, it had the most vibrant. You know, Newtown's good for its Thai food and stuff like that. Balmain back in the day was hot as hell, and you couldn't. It was packed.
It so was. Yes. Now, can I tell you about the other two?
Yes.
Okay, so on bass is my partner, David Green.
Yep.
David has been a very loyal supporter of mine. We started working together in Sally King Band 1985, and we've played music together ever since. So that's 40 years. This year we've been playing music together.
Is he up for long service leave soon, Sally, or is he
I ain't going to let that happen. No, I'm sorry. Or maybe I'll think about it. But
it depends where he wants to take you in Europe or the States.
Yeah, exactly. Which holiday will that be? Anyway, so we really want to go to Ireland. That's what we want to do. Yeah. But anyway, let's come back to Dave. Now, David started out in Melbourne and he worked in Hot City Bump Band. He's played with people like Russell Morris and John Farnham, Broderick Smith. He's not a bragger. He's not going to be saying that to people. Oh, and then a thing that he doesn't really like to talk about too much is that he was actually in the band that went to America with Air Supply. They took an Australian band over there with Rex Go, David Green, all these other brilliant players. Dave was on that tour bus for 2 years, doing big stadiums. And
Air Supply used to play like 50,000 stadiums in the States.
Yeah. Huge. And we've actually got an American Music Award in our house that David got.
Very good.
And he's just a really solid. He's not going to rip into anything wild and be an extrovert. He's just so dependable. He's right there. He's in the pocket, and he's made a study of this the style as well. So he knows what he's doing. So that's very special, obviously, for me. And then we come to the beautiful Davo Fester. Davo works with Shane Pacey a lot. Shane Pacey Trio. He also put together Pacey King and Dolly, which we formed in 2020, I believe. With the aim of getting to Blues Fest, and then of course the pandemic happened. But Pacey King and Dolly got to play on the All Australian show. And I actually went to see Renee Geyer because she was in that show as well. And that was such a thrill for me. Davo Fester is so supportive. He's been really instrumental in giving me a leg back up into the music scene now. Yeah, he kind of got me started by asking me to join Pacey King and Dolly. It's like, wow, that is brilliant. You know, I mean, wow, what a gift. What a gift. So we've got 3 Davids in the band, but these are the Daves of our lives. David Green,
that's
Dave
Brewer. The Daves of our lives.
These are the Daves.
And the Daves of our lives is a great thing. Great title.
And
I'll race you to copyright that when we hang up. That's fantastic.
And the Moonlighters, I called it the Moonlighters because we're all moonlighting from other bands.
Other bands.
Right? All of us.
That creative insight, that creative urge, that creative fire that you still bring. Even if it's just the marketing or the insight to how you put this band together. And it's almost like a bit of a, what they call it, fantasy camp of blues music and soul music. You got these guys, and
it's beautiful.
I'm pretty sure if we put up all the other names and you threw a dart, you couldn't hit 3 better guys, especially one's your husband too. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
I want to just want to recount the gigs. So we have Sally King. We're in Dunningham Park. It's 11 a.m. on Sunday. So bring a coffee, fill it with a scotch. And then Sunday afternoon, or Sunday evening, I should say, 6 p.m., this amazing band, the Moonlighters.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to ask you, thank you so much for your time. It's so fantastic to be able to talk to you and get to share what I've always thought the person we've never met before. And I always thought, oh, I bet she's like this. And you ticked that box exactly for me. So thank you so much for being who you are. And as we said before, nice and relaxed. And can't wait to see you on Sunday. But I want to ask you just one last question. Give me a word or give me a sentence. It's up to you. I ask everyone the same question before we part. When you walk on stage, what does it feel like to be Sally King?
It feels bloody awesome. You know, I get to put on an outfit, right? Because I love that. As you can see by my presentation here, for me, and I learnt this from Bo Diddley, by the way, you know, he said, you've got to dress. You've got to dress up. And you walk out there and you look like somebody. And I love to do that.
Yep.
I want to do my best. I want to sing. I want to sing well. I want to entertain people. I want to share the love. You know, if that's what I can do, if I can make people happy in that time, and if I can, well, I love singing, so it's really good for me too, right? Yeah. So, and if I can hit those notes that you were talking about that take a lot of hard work, by the way, it feels great to be Sally King. I'm in one of my very happy places up on stage.
And that comes through in your performances. And we can't wait to see you. We're going to get the double shot on Sunday. It's funny, before we wrap up, you know who Bo Diddley told that famous quote to? He told Elvis. And Elvis used to say, Bo Diddley told me once, if you dress like the audience, you'll end up in the audience. Because they come to see you, dress up and give them a presentation, give them a show, give them your performance, to make sure you give them something more, because they've given their hard money to you. And Elvis used to always, and that's where the jumpsuits came from. Okay. So Elvis used to always
Bo Diddley said that. All right.
Bo Diddley said to Elvis, yeah, because Elvis was very close to B.B. King, and then he met Bo Diddley through that connection. Yes. And Muddy Waters, they were all very close behind the scenes. And people think it was just, you know, Tom Jones hanging out at Graceland. It was not. It was a lot of musos. And I got to meet Priscilla once. So I asked her about that. She said, yeah, no, Bo Diddley told Elvis that.
Diddley.
3 months later, he got the jumpsuits.
Yeah, fantastic. Bo and I had a strong connection, and he mentored me for a number of years and taught me how to play open air guitar. And, you know, I was reading Keith Richards' life story, and I'm reading the thing about Bo taught him how to play open air guitar, and I'm going, he taught me too.
We've got to get together for another chat, because I didn't know that, and I want to talk about your experience with Bo Diddley. Did I interview last year? Someone said Bo Diddley just turned up at their gig up in the Cross and sat in and then started to play. I forget who it was. I've got to look it up from last year's podcast. But a frequent visitor. Oh, it's George Washing Machine. That's who it was. He said, yeah, and Bo Diddley just came in and sat in my gig. And it's like, what do I do? He said, keep playing. Yeah, a strong resonance, and it's fantastic. But I do want to hear more about that. Okay. Got to get you back on the show sometime. But thank you so much. We can't wait to see you in the bands on Sunday at the Cronulla Jazz and Blues Festival. And look forward to it. I know it's overdue, but welcome back, and thank you for your time to the show.
Oh, thank you, Adam. It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks.